For the fifth time in Hersheys Cup Series history, welcome everyone to All-Star Race Weekend here at the Charlotte Motor Speedway. In this season, we have 28 drivers, maybe the biggest All-Star Race field that we have had in my recent memory here at Charlotte. 28 drivers are locked into the All-Star Race either by having a win after All-Star Race Weekend last year, a win this season, or being a former winner of this event. And we are going to be adding 5 more drivers into the field to have a grand total of 33 after tomorrow night's Hersheys shootout. So it's going to be a very big field, very close to almost a full field this season, because we have 39 drivers running full-time in Hersheys Cup Series competition. So it's going to be a big field, almost going to be kind of maybe a little bit of a preview of the Coke 600 coming up next week. You never know, but it's going to be a big field. Only $1 million on the line. There's no points on the line, so you got to bet these drivers that's going to ramp it up as far as how hard they're going to be battling for that trophy and that check. But tonight, the 28 drivers I previously spoke of that have locked themselves into this All-Star race need to determine where they're going to start on the grid. The drivers that transfer into the All-Star race via the Hersheys shootout tomorrow night will start 29th through 33rd regardless. But we got to determine who's going to start on the pole and who's going to be starting 28th in the grid later on this weekend. And we're going to show you the drivers that locked themselves into the All-Star race and the qualifications that got them where they are. The first car that came out on track was the 48 of Cody Lamas, so we're going to start with the Lowe's Chevrolet. Of course, having a very struggling year so far, wants to get his season turned around in the second half of the regular season, the chase towards the chase for the championship, but right now running very fast lap times. He was a 31.880 last time by, now the third, but Cody Lamas was a former winner last season at a dirt track, that was at Springfield. And we got a couple of dirt tracks coming up on the schedule too, just before the chase begins, so Cody Lamas certainly would love to be able to spearhead a good start to the second half of the regular season with an All-Star race victory here this week. Right behind him, James McLeod. That's another driver that's been struggling in the point standings. Was a 2-time winner last season. One of those wins gets him into this All-Star race. As a matter of fact, he's the defending Coca-Cola 600 winner at Charlotte Motor. So he knows how to get around this racetrack. He's been able to win one of the longest races on the schedule. Can he win the non-points event, the All-Star race, and pick up $1 million check? We'll have to wait and see. Anthony McCurry's actually a former Coke 600 winner as well, but his Coke 600 was won back in Season 3. Anthony McCurry gets into this race, though, the All-Star race, for 2 reasons. Actually, for 3 reasons, really. He was a winner at Bristol Dirt last season. He was a winner at Bristol this season. And he is the Season 4 defending All-Star race winner. So Anthony McCurry, going to have to see what he's going to be able to do at a track that he knows how to win at in an event that he is a previous race winner. Leon Alvarez there in the Aaron's Dream Machine, the 08 out of CJ Racing. Alvarez was a 2-time winner last season, even though he did not finish in the top 30 in the points and did not make the chase for the championship. Leon Alvarez, one of those wins last year, came at, I believe it was Hillside. I've lost my place. No, it was Pikes Peak, where he went to Victory Lane, and that gets him into the All-Star race this season. Samurai Jack, a Honda Accord of Joshua Michaels, who has had a really strong start to the year, went to Victory Lane earlier on this season at Eldora, and also had a win last year at Oswego. Those 2 dirt track wins get him into this All-Star race event, trying to get Honda their very first All-Star race victory. Now, most of the faces that we see here in this field are very familiar, but the 55 is a little bit different. Johnny Gardner qualified the 55 in the All-Star race after he had a victory last year at both Rockingham, North Carolina and Indianapolis. However, in order in this non-points event to give some of his developmental drivers some experience, he has put Shane Lake, the driver of the 43 in the Taxpayer Series, into the 55 for the All-Star race. So we'll have to see how this rookie's going to be able to do. He's going to be one of, I believe, 3 rookies that are in this field, along with Kev Shearer and Alex Drayden. We'll see how Shane Lake's going to be able to stack up against all the other drivers that are all-star race caliber in this field. Keith Batson taking part in his very first all-star race because not too long ago he picked up his very first Hersheys Cup Series victory, going to victory lane at Kansas. He is the only Lincoln right now that is locked into the All-Star race as well. Kat Tellier is going to have to try and race her way into the All-Star race via the Hersheys Shootout tomorrow night. So what Keith Batson can do here, he may be the lone representative for Lincoln Continental in the All-Star race if Kat Tellier cannot race her way in. Jessica Shelton, there in the Mountain Dew Chevrolet out of Retro Racing Enterprises. That's a team that's picked up their finishes the last few weeks. Jumped up, I think she's just outside the top 10 in points or just barely inside the top 10 in points. It's been a struggling start to the year, but they really picked it up near the second half of the first half of the regular season. I guess you could call that, the second quarter of the regular season. But Shelton getting into this race due to a win at a track we're going to in about 3 weeks. That is her home track of Darlington. Back, see if we can find some more drivers. Some drivers leaving pit road. We'll get to them as soon as we can. Looking at Dylan Poteet in the 31, three-time winner last season. It is 2 of those wins that lock him into the All-Star race, winning the second Daytona race last year as well as at Michigan. Poteet this season, though, still looking for that first win as he's trying to make, I believe it would be his third career Hersheys Cup Series chase for the championship. Right behind him, the runner-up for the championship last season, Blaine Keys in the 42 U.S. Army Chevrolet. Now, Blaine Keys went to victory lane at M&M Super Speedway last season. That was what got him into the chase. It also locked him into this All-Star race. Keys is also a former All-Star race winner, winning this event back in Season 3. Just passing him is Daniel Gilbert, the National Guard Chevrolet out of Michael Norman Motorsports. He is the only M&M driver that is locked into the All-Star race so far, and that, of course, was due to his win earlier on this year at FTF. The other drivers, Brooke Allen, Nathan Hudson, and also team owner Michael Norman, who's going to be in a one-off ride tomorrow night, all are going to have to try and race their way in to have a second, third, maybe fourth representative for M&M in the All-Star race event. Trent Dunham, the Rust-eze Chevrolet, hoping to go lightning speed here as he went to victory lane earlier on this season at Talladega Super Speedway. Trent Dunham, right behind him, Levi McIntyre, who went to victory lane last year at the road course of Lime Rock. 2 savvy veterans behind them, a rookie in Kev Shearer, the 34, who went to victory lane a couple weeks ago at Dover International Raceway. As I mentioned, he along with Shane Lake and Alex Drayden are 3 rookies representing in this All-Star race this season. Kev Shearer, one of 3 CJ Racing cars that are in this field. You see right there, he's making his way around his teammate Leon Alvarez, one of the drivers I was just speaking of. Alvarez, we mentioned, going to victory lane at Pikes Peak that gets him into the All-Star race. Well, the week after Alvarez went to victory lane, Sean Galligan went to victory lane. That was at Hillside Raceway, but he also has a win this season at Rio. Both of those wins locked him 44 into the All-Star race this year. As a matter of fact, all 3 of the Seth Cole Baker Motorsports Chevrolets are in the All-Star race grid. Zachary Fitzwater, representing for the Fitzwater Australia Racing Chevrolet team. Last year, he went to victory lane at Homestead Miami Speedway, and he's had a pretty good start to the season here. Still chasing that first victory of Season 5, but having a good run to start out the year, and would love to be able to kind of have a pinnacle right in the middle of the season with an All-Star race victory. Alongside of him, Benjamin Miles, the Napa Chevrolet, as my dog is barking. Benjamin Miles last season went to victory lane at both Watkins Glen and Chicago. That locks him into this All-Star race. Both of the ML Motorsports cars are actually in this field. We saw Cody Lamas earlier on. Jake Baskinger pulling into his pit stall there in the Bass Pro Shops Chevrolet, as there are still 10.5 minutes remaining in this session, so still plenty of time to be able to make adjustments and try and lay down a faster lap time than the current one laid down by Blaine Keys. 28.952, and 1/1000th slower is Keith Batson at a 9.53, so it is really close up there at the top of the leaderboard, and there's still over 10 minutes to go, so it is not over yet. Jake Baskinger getting into this race due to 2 wins he had last season, winning at Thornton and the season finale at Auto Club, and he also is a former winner of the All-Star race, winning this event back in Season 2. Dallas McIntosh was the last driver in a points-paying race to lock himself into the All-Star race, winning last week at Richmond International Raceway on fuel strategy. He is one of 3 Sega Motorsports cars that are in this field. All 3 of the Sega Motorsports cars are going to be in the All-Star race. And behind him, mentioned that all 3 of the Seth Cole Baker Motorsports cars are in the All-Star race. There's one of them in Cole Baker, the Counter-Strike Global Offensive Chevrolet with victory lane earlier on this season at Atlanta, and that was only his 2nd career win in Hersheys Cup Series competition. Road course winner this season, James Richardson, winning at Sonoma, locked himself into this All-Star race in that number 11 out of Joe Gibbs Racing. And there's the 3rd Seth Cole Baker Motorsports Chevrolet, Anthony McCurry, former champion back from Season 1. He gets into this All-Star race due to 3 different qualifications. He was the winner at Bristol Dirt in Season 4, the winner at Bristol Dirt this season, and he also is a former winner of this event. He's the defending winner of the All-Star race, winning last season in Season 4. Already talked about Jake Baskinger. There's a 2nd of 3 Retro Racing Enterprises cars that are in this field. We saw Jessica Shelton earlier on. Charles Sanford, the Reese's Pieces Chevrolet, in this field as he won last year at Talladega Superspeedway. That got him into this All-Star race. Retro Racing Enterprises as a whole still for their first win of the season, but like I said, Jessica Shelton's been having a very good start to the season. So has Charles Sanford. The only guy that really has kind of been struggling out of that team has been Kyle Matthews, but still plenty of time to try and find victory lane, and Kyle Matthews was a 2-time winner last year. Chris Dodd, defending champion of this series, or not defending, but former champion, I should say, winning the championship back in Season 2, the IKEA Chevrolet. Chris Dodd getting into the All-Star race due to the 2 victories he had this season, winning the Daytona 500 and then also winning at Texas Motor Speedway, which is a D-shaped 1.5 miles, very similar to Charlotte. Emmanuel Hartnett, one of the few Toyotas that is in this field here tonight. Number 83 out of Fire Ice Racing, Emmanuel Hartnett found his way into the All-Star race with a win at DuQuoin, a dirt track last season. Here's one of the drivers. There were actually 2 drivers that were locked into the All-Star race but didn't have a run. And Joseph Srigley was one of them, putting together the number 24, the familiar number 24. His team of Srigley Motorsports. Of course, Joseph racing full-time in the Taxslayer Truck Series this year, but he had a win last season at Arizona, which locked him in the All-Star race. So for a one-off, 24 comes back. Joseph Srigley's behind the wheel, and we'll see what he can do here in the All-Star race event. There's the 3rd of 3 rookies. Alex Drayton went to victory in Las Vegas earlier on this season. So we'll see who between him, Kevin Shearer, and Shane Lake is going to be the top rookie in All-Star race. As we've had a new driver jump to the top of the leaderboard. 2 drivers have taken over the front row. Jake Baskinger, we saw him on pit road earlier getting getting adjustments. 28.9 flat is the top time. Anthony McCurry with a 28.943, and that drops Blaine Keys and Keith Batson, who were 1st and 2nd not too long ago, down to 3rd and 4th fastest. There's Kyle Matthews, the 3rd entry out of Retro Racing Enterprises. Kyle Matthews getting into this race due to 2 wins last season at Phoenix and Dodge Motordome. Mentioned he was a 2-time winner last season. Former champion of the series as well. Matt Haas, the defending champion this season, has been anything but good for the driver out of the 78 team. He is mired way down in the points. I'm trying to remember if he's still dead last. He was dead last in the points heading into Richmond, and I'm not certain he climbed out of the cellar after the Richmond race. He gets into this All-Star race event, though, by winning last season at Zenjoltis. And obviously, this is a guy that would certainly love an All-Star race win to give a shot in the arm of momentum heading into the second half of the regular season. I don't know why, but I got a feeling I'm missing somebody. Might be wrong. I just had that kind of feeling that I didn't mentioned somebody. No, I guess I've mentioned everybody. See anybody else that hasn't been mentioned? Now, this is with the group where all the speed was. This is your front row right now. Baskinger in the 5 with the fastest lap. Anthony McCurry in the 61 with the second fastest lap. Surprisingly, these two are only in a 3-car pack with last year's winner Dallas McIntosh. I would have thought your pole sitter, at least the pole setting speed, would be somewhere in this group with Miles, Michaels, Fitzwater, Keys, Shearer, and Kyle Matthews, but that is not the case. Lane Keys, third fastest on the charts, is in this group, but he hasn't really improved on the lap time he set about 5-6 minutes ago. Keith Batson's not in this group. Neither is Jessica Shelton. They're fourth and fifth on this grid, I should say. And Dallas McIntosh 6th, Sanford 7th, Kev Shearer, Joshua Michaels, and Benjamin Miles would be in the top 10 as things stand right now. You look at the difference. I mean, before, when it was Blaine Keys versus Keith Batson, it was 1/1000th of a second separation between a 9.52 and a 9.53. You look at the gap now with Baskinger at 28.9 flat, and he is about 4/100ths faster than McCurry's lap at a 9.43. That is a much bigger gap than just 1,000th of a second, which is what we were at back around 10 minutes remaining. And now I don't think you're going to see Baskinger improve on that lap time at all, as right now, only car behind him is Dallas McIntosh, and they're in a 2-car pack. These drivers do run with CTS physics, so the straightaway speed, if you're in the draft, can certainly help your lap time out, which is probably how Baskinger got the lap time he did. I'm almost wondering if maybe, we saw it was a small pack of McCurry, Baskinger, and McIntosh, but they might have gotten the draft off the bigger pack of cars that were ahead of them, get a little bit more straightaway speed than a driver that's right up on someone's back bumper, and that might have been how the two of them shot to the top of the leaderboard. Oh, got a trouble. Someone just spun up in turn 4. And that was McCurry, I think. The 61. Looks like he might have a little rear end damage. Looks like he spun out, trying to get to pit road. Don't see anybody with a lot of extensive damage, so they might be able to get that car repaired. I think Kyle Matthews got a little bit of right side damage on his machine. Joshua Michaels might have gotten a piece of whatever that was too. Yeah, they're pushing Kyle Matthews, Joshua Michaels, and Anthony McCurry's cars back behind the wall to repair them. As Baskinger comes down to pit road, gets 4 fresh tires before heading back out. Kev Shearer and Sean Galligan just returning back to the racetrack. 7th on the grid. Shane Lake, he's 21st right now out of 28 drivers. Looks like Kev Shearer will be the highest starting rookie in the All-Star race, the only rookie to have broken the top 10 in speeds with a 29.147. Currently locking him in 8th place. With about a minute and a half remaining here in this session. One thing about Shane Lake, the one good thing for him is it's not like he's being put into a race car cold turkey. He has run the first half of the season in the Tax Slayer Truck Series amongst some pretty big names. One of them is a driver that's actually in this All-Star race as well, Joseph Srigley. So there are former Hersheys Cup Series drivers that he's raced against. So it's not like he's going in against these guys not really knowing what he's up against. He has raced against former Hersheys Cup Series drivers this year in the Tax Slayer Truck Series. And a lot of times it's the daring moves that can get you a win in these kind of non-points events. So maybe it takes somebody like Shane Lake, a rookie who's just out there making a debut, trying to show what he's able to bring to the table, maybe put himself in line for a ride next year in Hersheys Cup Series competition. It's kind of an audition for him, so it might be right down the alley of somebody like that. Nothing has changed in the top 10 at all. Top 10 has remained exactly the same, so I would be very surprised in these final 25 seconds if we see someone jump up there. And as soon as I say that, Benjamin Miles just got displaced from 10th. Sean Galligan just took the spot from him, so now Galligan is inside the top 10. And these group right here, I think they just took what was going to be their last lap. They'll get scored this next time by, but I think that's going to be it. Do we have a pole sitter to knock Baskinger off in this group of race cars? Let's wait and see if anything changes in the top 10. Last opportunity, and nothing changed. So it looks like that's what the top 10 is going to be, and Jake Baskinger, a former winner of the All-Star race back in Season 2, will start on the front row alongside of the defending All-Star race winner, Anthony McCurry, with Blaine Keys, another former All-Star race winner, in third. As a matter of fact, 3 of our previous 4 All-Star race winners are going to be starting first, second, and third. You can't script that stuff. The only other former winner of the All-Star race was the very first All-Star race winner, Noah Cars, but he wasn't able to secure a Hersheys Cup Series ride to be able to take part in this All-Star race. So the only 3 former All-Star race winners that made their way into this event were able to secure a ride. They're starting first, second, and third. That's unbelievable.
Drivers, to your cars.
So as you take a look at what the starting grid is going to look like for first on down through 28th for the All-Star race, it'll be Baskinger, McCurry, Keys, Keith Batson, and your top 5 will be completed by Jessica Shelton. Then it'll be Dallas McIntosh, Charles Sanford. Highest starting rookie will be Kev Shearer in 8th, with Joshua Michaels and Sean Galligan in the top 10. Benjamin Miles got dropped to 11th in the closing stages of that session. 12th will be Leon Alvarez. 13th will be Poteet. 14th, Fitzwater, and Cody Lamas, who was the first car out on track, will start 15th for the All-Star race. James Richardson will be 16th, with Cole Baker 17th. The rest of the top 20 will be Daniel Gilbert, Alex Drayden, and Emmanuel Hartnett. Trent Dunn will be 21st, Kyle Matthews 22nd, Shane Lake 23rd, 24th, James McLeod 25th, Matt Haas, Chris Dodd back in 26th, with Levi McIntyre and Joseph Srigley starting 27th and 28th. Is starting at the back going to be a problem for these guys? Is track position really that important? We're going to get to find out if that's the case, because we're going to have a little bit of a case study with the Hersheys shootout that's taking place tomorrow night. 5 more drivers will race their way into this All-Star race, giving us 33 in total, but they will start 29th through 33rd in the All-Star race event behind these 28 drivers. Who are they going to be? I don't know, but we got a pretty big field that is lined up. A lot of one-off drivers, a lot of drivers that race in the Tax Player Truck Series and Pizza Hut X Series, getting a chance to do what Shane Lake's doing, make a case for themselves, kind of have an audition in a non-points weekend, and we're going to be bringing you that action tomorrow night. Thanks everybody for tuning into this qualifying session. If you enjoyed it, be sure to give this video a like, subscribe to become part of the crew today. This is your grid for the All-Star race coming up later on this week. Tomorrow night again, as I said, it's the Hersheys shootout, where 5 drivers will also race their way into this week's All-Star race event. Then we have the All-Star race, and then we go back to points-paying races, where we're going to have all 3 series have a points weekend here at Charlotte Motor Speedway, capping off with the Coca-Cola 600. So until then, I'm Seth Cole signing off. All-Star race weekend continues here on the SRA Sports Channel, offline racing at its best.